Our top story now, and the Prime Minister had a very busy day today in Italy on the sidelines of the G7 summit. Not only did he hold bilateral with France's Macron and UK's Rishi Sunak, but also held a one-on-one with Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. Ukraine was in focus on day one at the G7. Later, the Prime Minister was welcomed at the summit venue by Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, and even got to hug the Pope, who was at the G7 for the first time. NDTV's Vishnu Shom reports from Italy.
An unexpected highlight at the G7 summit in Fasano in Italy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at a time when Ukraine is center stage in talks here. By meeting the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky over here in Italy, the Prime Minister has sent a strong message. While India does have excellent relations between Russia, we've also got great ties with Ukraine. India is equidistant. The focus is absolutely clear. It's only through dialogue and diplomacy that the Ukraine war can come to an end. But there have been other key meetings as well. The Prime Minister meeting France's Emmanuel Macron. That meeting comes shortly after Macron announced snap polls back home, and also comes at a time when New Delhi and France are negotiating for 26 more Rafale fighter jets, this time for the Indian Navy, in a deal worth more than 50,000 crores. In his meeting with the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, another leader who faces election soon, Prime Minister Modi focused on defence, security, trade and economic collaboration. India and the United Kingdom are also in the middle of negotiations for a free trade agreement. This isn't the first time that an Indian Prime Minister has been called to G7. In fact, it's the 11th occasion. Each one very important, but this one particularly significant because it's the first foreign trip being made by the Prime Minister after he was sworn in for a record third term. It is also an important occasion for the Prime Minister to reach out to some of his closest Western allies, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Germany, and to the east, to the Prime Minister of Japan as well. Other key meetings, Prime Minister Modi in talks with Japan's Prime Minister Kishida and Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni.
There is respect for what India is today in terms of the dynamism, the technology adoption, the fast trajectory towards a quality growth, I would say. So this is perceived as something to be respected, to be admired, and I would say also a great opportunity to draw investments from India to Italy.
In addition to the high-level G7 engagements, India has also been involved in focused conversations on the Indo-Pacific region, Africa, climate change, migration and artificial intelligence. What has, however, been missing from this short 24-hour visit of the Prime Minister is a mega diaspora event. This has been a Modi signature event in all parts of the world. This time around, he was greeted by officials at Brindisi Airport. When he arrived at 11:30 p.m. last night, he departs at 11:30 p.m. tonight. India isn't a member of the G7. However, India has been called because we are increasingly seen as a voice of the global south. When the G7 was formed, it was essentially a grouping of the world's most powerful economies. But that's changed substantially. India is now the world's fifth largest economy. As an economy, we are larger than the host nation, Italy, France and Canada as well. This visit, however, is important because it does set the agenda for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's foreign policy. In Bari, with camera person Rakesh Singh, Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Now, the latest developments on the NEET controversy as protests continue over the medical entrance exam. Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan today met with students who had appeared for the NEET exam to address their concerns. They presented him with a list of demands which included that the exam be held again for all the students and that the National Testing Agency chief be removed. The minister assured them no injustice would be done.
23-year-old Harsh Gupta was fresh out of school when he set out on his journey from a small town near Uttar Pradesh's Kannauj. His destination, becoming a doctor. 4 years later, he's on the streets of Delhi, running from pillar to post, demanding a fair examination. 6 तारीख से काउंसलिंग फिर से होगी कहीं ना कहीं, अभी तक जो लग रहा है, तो आपको लग रहा है ये इनजस्टिस है बच्चों के साथ?
बिल्कुल इनजस्टिस है, क्योंकि जब काउंसलिंग हो जाएगी तो उसके बाद क्या होगा? उसके बाद क्या बच्चों को आप निकाल पाएंगे?
Harsh is among the thousands of aspiring doctors who demand a re-examination and an investigation into the alleged paper leak across centres. Many of them, like 25-year-old Vikas, have gone through multiple grueling attempts at what's seen as one of the toughest competitive exams.
सर 1563 की बात नहीं है, बात हमारे पूरे 24 लाख की है। सबके साथ स्कैम हुआ है और बहुत स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे जिसने 4 साल मेहनत करके मार्क्स लाए हैं, उन्हें सीट नहीं मिलेगी तो क्या होगा?
While the Education Minister assured the angry candidates of a solution acceptable to all, a setback for the aspirants from the Supreme Court, which will now hear their petitions 2 days after the scheduled date of counselling.
The Supreme Court, which heard a number of petitions today, refused to give any kind of relief and said that they will hear the entire matter on the 8th of July, when the Supreme Court reconvenes after the vacation.
For students, it is the integrity of the exams that has been compromised.
एनटीए के रिप्लाई आने के बाद में जो हमारी सबमिशंस हैं और इस केस को दोबारा से मेरिट्स पे जो 8 जुलाई को सुना जाएगा ये होगा। लेकिन जिस तरह से इस केस में हमारे पास मटेरियल्स हैं, एफआईआर हैं और दूसरे एविडेंस हैं जिसमें पेपर लीक हुए हैं, एफआईआर्स हैं, इन्वेस्टिगेशंस चल रही हैं, ये साफ साबित होता है हमारी तरफ से जो हमारे पास मटेरियल है कि इस पूरे एग्जाम को सेट असाइड करना चाहिए, रिकॉल करना चाहिए और ये दोबारा एग्जाम होना चाहिए।
While the chief of the testing body, the man in the line of fire, declined to speak on camera, the National Testing Agency says the credibility of the exam is intact. Government sources told NDTV that it could be due to a relatively easy question paper this time that several students came out on the top. The Education Minister defended his testing agency.
Let us wait for the 8th July, how Supreme Court is going to pronounce its judicious judgment.
With the ball now in the Supreme Court, lakhs of students are left in the lurch. These 20-year-olds who could be on their way to becoming practicing doctors have taken to the streets. Re-NEET is what they demand. They say they have no trust whatsoever in the National Testing Agency and that the inaction on all the discrepancies that have now come in the public domain is like playing with their careers. In New Delhi with camera person Arun Singh Negi, Vedant for NDTV.
And in an interview to NDTV, the Education Minister said that there's no lack of intention by the government and let us wait for the top court order.
Mr. Pradhan, really appreciate your time. You're back from Odisha after a lot of hard work there and you're back in the midst of a crisis. How will you restore faith of students in NTA and also in NEET as an institution, as an examination?
I assure all the students through you, there should not be any panic among the students. Some anomalies has come in front of government. We are aware about the issue, we are concerned about the issue. Honorable Supreme Court has given some beautiful judgment yesterday only. There should not be any confusion after that. 1563 students will get opportunity to reappear in the NEET. This one part has been covered and one part has been solved. Those who are interested, they can out for the retest in the specific 6 center where the allegation was they did not get any proper time. They will be given proper time, they will be given an opportunity for the re-examination. That has been given, the direction has been given by Honorable Supreme Court, that is covered. We should wait for how many students are coming for the re-examination.
Mr. Pradhan, one view is that the NTA acted only after Supreme Court's intervention. Otherwise, students were protesting all over the country and there was nobody to listen to them.
No. I don't think the information is not so correct because NTA has come after this anomaly, not given proper time. NTA has come out with a formula. That formula has also given by one of the judgment in Supreme Court regarding the CLAT entrance examination. They come out with some grace mark formula which has been little bit some anomalies came out through that because 6 students came out as the highest scorer in the list. That became eyesore from among the students. Then there was a protest against that decision. Then NTA and government intervened and government directed NTA to come out with some transparent policy. They formed an academic committee. The academic committee recommended for retesting of the respective students in those 6 centers. And Honorable Supreme Court yesterday, and by this time there are 41 petitions are there in the different high courts and in front of Supreme Court. Clubbing all together, Honorable Supreme Court has yesterday given those 1563 students should given opportunity, those who lost time in the 5th May, they should give an opportunity for the retesting, and they are given the opportunity for the retesting.
The RSS chief, Mohan Bhagwat, is in UP's Gorakhpur, where he's attending a Karyakarta camp. Now, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will be in Gorakhpur, that is, remember, his bastion, and will be meeting with the Sangh chief tomorrow. That's what's expected. Let's go across to Akhilesh now for more. And Akhilesh, a very interesting meeting coming, just after the elections and the BJP's poor performance, in a sense, in Uttar Pradesh. So, an interesting meeting between the UP Chief Minister and the Sangh chief.
That's correct. In fact, Mr. Bhagwat is there in Gorakhpur area for the past 5 days, and he'll be there tomorrow as well. And in the afternoon, Mr. Yogi Adityanath, who belongs to Gorakhpur only, he's likely to have a meeting with Mr. Bhagwat. And we've been told by the sources that the recent election results and also the setback BJP suffered, especially in Uttar Pradesh, may come up for discussion. Remember, a few days back on Monday, Mr. Bhagwat addressed RSS workers in Nagpur, where he made several comments about the election results and also about the Manipur situation. Today, the RSS sources have clarified that he did not mean anything indicated towards the BJP or the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In fact, his was a general comment about the decorum which should have been maintained in the Lok Sabha election campaign, and he made similar remarks during the previous election results also. So there's nothing to be related to the BJP or his performance as far as the comments are concerned, and there's no rift as far as BJP-RSS relationship is concerned. In fact, by the end of August, there will be a meeting of the coordination committee between the RSS and the BJP and other RSS affiliates organizations in Palakkad in Kerala, where the recently held elections of the Lok Sabha's results, they will be discussed, and the future course of action will be chalked out. So there's no difference. This is what the RSS are indicating, and his comments were not against anybody or any party. In fact, RSS executive member Mr. Indresh has made some remarks about the election results, and RSS sources have clarified that they do not subscribe to those views.
All right, so an interesting meeting coming after those results and the comments, about arrogance and decorum made by the RSS chief. Thanks so much, Akhilesh, for joining us with those details. An Indian Air Force transport plane carrying the remains of the 45 Indians who died in the building fire in Kuwait returned to India today, at first stopping in Kerala, where a majority of the workers were from, and then later to Delhi. Union Minister of State V.K. Singh accompanied the bodies on the flight back to India. There are several allegations by families and those who managed to escape of violations, how accommodation was overcrowded and access to the terrace was locked. Here's a report.
Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and leaders from neighbouring Tamil Nadu paying their last respects to the mortal remains of 31 of the 45 Indian workers killed in the terrible fire tragedy in Kuwait. An Indian Air Force special flight brought them to Cochin. 23 of these workers are from Kerala, 7 from Tamil Nadu and 1 from Karnataka. A pall of gloom descended as ambulances took them to their homes for a final goodbye. This man in Tamil Nadu's Kadalur district lost his brother Chinnadurai. He and his elderly mother are shattered.
ഈ ദുരന്തമുണ്ടായ ഉടനെ കുവൈറ്റ് ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഫലപ്രദമായതും ശക്തമായതുമായ നടപടികൾ സ്വീകരിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നാണ് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. ആ ഗവൺമെൻറ്റിൻ്റെ തുടർ നടപടികൾ കുറ്റമറ്റ രീതിയിൽ ഉണ്ടാകുമെന്നാണ് നാം എല്ലാവരും പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നത്. ഇത്തരമൊരു ദുരന്ത വിവരം അറിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യ ഗവൺമെൻറ്റും ശരിയായ രീതിയിൽ തന്നെ ഇടപെട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്.
தமிழகத்திலிருந்து உயிரிழந்த 7 நபர்களுடைய உடலை பெற்றுக் கொடுப்பதற்காக தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் மக்கள் முதல்வர் தளபதியினுடைய ஆணைக்கேற்ற நானும் துறை சார்ந்த ஆணையரும் இங்கே வருகை தந்தோம். அதில் கேரள அரசும் இங்கே முதலமைச்சரும் நேரடியாக வருகை தந்து அந்த மரியாதை செலுத்தியதை நாங்கள் உண்மையிலே வரவேற்கிறோம்.
Nearly 50 others are being treated in 5 Kuwait hospitals, some in ICU. The fire on the ground floor after a gas leak triggered explosion of cylinders and spread to upper floors. It was early morning. Most of them were asleep. Many alleged serious violations. The accommodation was overcrowded. The access to terrace locked. Workers even jumped through windows. Union Minister Kirti Pradhan Singh, deployed by the Centre for Early Repatriation, says the safety issue will be addressed.
The Kuwaiti government is taking this incident very seriously and they're taking all possible steps. They're making inquiries as to how it happened so that this kind of a tragic incident is never repeated again. And they assured us that they will take all possible steps. They have also assured us that all the paperwork regarding the insurance that is to be paid to the families, the compensation will be done as immediately as possible.
For India, the Kuwait fire tragedy is yet another eye-opener on the unsafe living conditions of Indian workers in the Middle East. For Kuwait, it's a huge embarrassment. While the centre has ensured early repatriation of the dead, the larger challenge for the new government, many say, would be to ensure at least safe accommodation for Indian workers in the Gulf, who also contribute huge foreign remittances. With SP Babu in Kerala, in Chennai, with Suresh, Sam Daniel, Find the TV.
In a bizarre development, the CBI has told a special Mumbai court that the bones and bodies of Mumbai executive Sheena Bora, recovered by the Raigad police after her murder 12 years ago, are now missing and untraceable. The revelation came up during examination of a witness, Dr. Zeba Khan, a forensic expert at the Sir JJ Hospital, who was the first person to confirm that the bones and other remains found were of a human being. Now, this at the time was a shocking and sensational case. Sheena Bora was allegedly eliminated by her mother and her ex-husband in connivance with her driver in April 2012. But the shocking killing came to light only around August 15th. So a shocking development in this case with crucial evidence missing. Sheena's mother, Indrani, remember, is out on bail. More gruesome details have emerged in the murder case involving a Kannada actor, Darshan, who is the accused. The murdered man, Renuka Swami, who was allegedly tortured and killed, died of shock and hemorrhage. According to the autopsy report, the autopsy also found 15 wounds on the body of Renuka Swami, who was allegedly beaten to death by the actor and his aides. Radhika with the details.
Brutal and shocking details have emerged in Renuka Swami murder case in which actor Darshan is allegedly involved. In fact, Darshan, his girlfriend and his aides have been arrested and they are in police custody. Investigations are going on. They are being questioned. But several details emerging as far as the post-mortem report of Renuka Swami is concerned. In fact, he had suffered 15 wounds on his body, including wounds on his abdomen, chest and many other parts. In fact, post-mortem report also reveals that he died of shock and hemorrhage. He was allegedly beaten up for at least about 3 to 4 hours in that shed in Bengaluru. His head was banged multiple times against a mini truck. In fact, the mini truck has also been seized by the police at this point. Several evidence being collected, CCTV footage being seized as well as examined by the police. There is also a CCTV footage showing this man, Renuka Swami, being ferried from Chitradurga all the way to Bengaluru. In fact, the driver of that vehicle, Ravi, has surrendered before the police just earlier today. So he has in fact been arrested by the police. In fact, a spot inquest was also carried out just last night. The police, in fact, took one of the main accused to Chitradurga in order to understand the circumstances leading to the death, the sequence of events, him of course narrating what exactly transpired in Chitradurga and how Renuka Swami was allegedly abducted from Chitradurga and taken to Bengaluru. So multiple people being questioned, several angles being looked into at this point. However, very, very shocking details emerging of the death of Renuka Swami. He suffered multiple wounds. He was miserably, allegedly beaten to death by Darshan and his gang. Of course, they will be produced before a court in a few days from now.
There's more trouble for former Telangana Chief Minister KCR as the Enforcement Directorate will now investigate a 5,000 crore sheep rearing development scheme promoted by his government in 2012 after allegations of corruption and funds being siphoned.
A 5,000 crore rupees sheep rearing development scheme that former Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao started in June of 2017 to boost rural incomes will now be investigated by the Enforcement Directorate that has sought district-wise details of beneficiaries, their bank accounts, names of sellers and buyers, bank accounts from which beneficiaries contributed, payments to transport agencies, procurement and distribution of sheep feed, and any internal reports highlighting instances of fraud.
Telangana's Anti-Corruption Bureau has named 10 people as accused in what it estimates to be a 700 crore rupees fraud. Among the 8 arrested are those officers who were dealing with the sheep rearing development scheme, and that includes the OSD of former Animal Husbandry Minister Talasani Srinivas Yadav.
The Controller and Auditor General had pointed out glaring irregularities in all aspects of its implementation. Transport is just one example. This two-wheeler is said to have been used to transport 126 sheep in a single trip in Sangareddy. And this car is claimed to have transported 168 sheep in a single trip to Mehboob Nagar. While this ambulance carried 84 sheep at one go in Kambam, and this auto took 126 sheep in a single trip. Nearly 4 lakh shepherd families were to be given a unit each of 20 sheep and a ram that cost 1.25 lakh rupees on a 75% subsidy. Over 82 lakh sheep were brought from neighbouring states to avoid recycling. NDTV Bureau Report.
And finally, let's take a look at the weather. And North India is reeling from the heat. UP, Bihar and Delhi have been experiencing severe heatwave conditions with temperatures exceeding 45 to 46 degrees at many locations. Now, there was some light rain relief in the national capital today, but with the monsoon hitting the pause button, that's the big worry. The monsoon has slowed down its approach, and it means that there's more trouble for North India and more hot days ahead. Well, that's it from me for the moment. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.